soy Patricia Gómez. Bienvenidos. Hoy en Adelante la muestra What is Hispanic? En exhibición. También la doctora Garrison es voluntaria for the March of Dimes. Y 890,000 choferes para vehículos de transporte pesado harán falta en la próxima década. Esto mantendrá ocupados a los instructores del programa que ofrece MATC. Después de un año de preparación para la exposición llamada What is Hispanic? ¿Qué es ser hispano? Esta se encuentra en exhibición en el Museo de Arte Haggerty de la Universidad Marquette. La muestra incluye obras de Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali y Diego Rivera, entre otros más, e invita al diálogo sobre la pregunta ¿qué define el ser hispano?
This exhibition is drawn from our permanent collection, so it's really both a collection and exhibition. It's really interesting. It reflects a question, I think, more than provides an answer. The title is What is Hispanic? And it's trying to get at the idea of what is the Hispanic experience today and how is that constructed. And I think what you see through this exhibition is that there are a lot of layers to that.
El sentimiento que yo siento ahora es alegría, es satisfacción con todo lo que he hecho en un año y medio. Ha sido mucho trabajo, mucha reflexión y yo me encuentro muy a gusto con todo lo que vemos aquí en el museo. Nosotros tenemos aquí unas 26 obras aproximadamente y tenemos artistas de España, de muchos países en América Latina y la idea era colocar obras de varias culturas hispánicas de múltiples siglos. ¿Qué es lo que tienen en común los artistas hispánicos? ¿Hay temas comunes que salen en las obras? Y yo creo que sí. He identificado varios temas y estos temas son los capítulos del libro, pero también secciones del museo. Y tenemos temas como comunidad, religión, identidad, dolor, etc. Es decir, hay ciertos temas que salen en muchas de las obras de los artistas hispánicos. La religión, desde hace muchos siglos, es gran parte de la comunidad hispánica. El dolor, curiosamente, vemos mucho dolor. También vemos una cosa que no me esperaba y es la ausencia del padre. Muchos de los artistas que tenemos aquí en el museo han sufrido mucho en cuanto al tema del padre, la presencia o la ausencia del padre. Es decir, mi idea era identificar temas que todos tenían en común. Yo creo que he podido identificar 5 o 6 de ellos. He escrito un catálogo y el libro ha quedado fenomenal porque creo que capta el espíritu del proyecto que se centra en la pregunta ¿qué es hispánico? Y yo no soy historiador de arte. Yo no soy especialista en el arte contemporáneo ni el arte de la época medieval, pero sí soy profesor de literatura y culturas hispánicas. Entonces yo buscaba en cada artista algún componente que me llamaba la atención. Por ejemplo, su juventud. Yo quería saber en qué lengua hablaba el artista en casa con sus padres. Yo quería saber dónde vivían, en qué país vivían, en qué cultura vivían. Cuáles eran sus perspectivas en cuanto a la religión. Cuáles han sido sus ideas políticas. Yo quería comprender al artista antes de elegir ese artista para este catálogo y para la exhibición. La lengua, para mí, yo creo que es el centro del debate. La lengua se da la mano con la cultura hispánica, en mi opinión. Es decir, ¿una persona puede considerarse hispánica si no habla español? Esa es la pregunta de $1 millón, ¿no? La lengua, la conexión entre la lengua y la cultura. Yo creo que esa conexión es fundamental. Tenemos varios artistas muy famosos a nivel mundial. Por ejemplo, tenemos a Pablo Picasso, tenemos a Salvador Dali, tenemos a Juan Miró, tenemos a Wilfredo Lam, tenemos a Antonio Saura. Y sus obras, algunas de estas obras son originales. Por ejemplo, la obra famosa de Dalí. Pero otras son copias son litografías, pero las obras originales, por ejemplo, de Saura o de Dalí, son muy llamativas simplemente por su espíritu. Yo lo llamo espíritu porque yo creo que algunas de estas obras en esta exhibición tienen cierta energía y espíritu. Por ejemplo, la obra de Saura, que se llama Dolores, yo creo que emite una energía de dolor y de angustia. Las otras obras de Lam, de Picasso, también son muy llamativas y forman parte del tema de identidad.
I think this question of what is Hispanic, that there's not really a clear answer to it. So I've learned to just appreciate that it's a sophisticated and complicated question that is not easily answered, but that we are a good forum for exploring.
Cuando nosotros nos referimos al término hispánico, al final, ¿qué estamos diciendo? ¿Qué quiere decir el término hispánico? ¿Qué es una persona hispánica? Si hablamos de otras culturas en el mundo, ¿cuáles son los componentes fundamentales a la identidad hispánica? ¿Es la lengua? ¿Es la dieta? ¿Es el carácter? ¿Es la identidad? ¿Qué es?
¿Qué es hispánico?
En clases de civilización, de cultura, siempre hablamos de esta cuestión, de qué significa realmente la cuestión de qué es hispánico, tanto para los que hayan estado en España, los que sean de origen latinoamericano. Esta cuestión es muy importante y no es nada fácil de contestar realmente, porque hay muchas variaciones de qué es hispánico, según la lengua, según la familia, según el origen, según el lugar de vivir.
Anybody have an idea what's going on here or what this is about?
Me parece una oportunidad muy buena, espléndida para nuestros estudiantes tener esta exposición aquí, o estas obras de arte, que muchas de ellas son de la colección permanente. Pero también resaltar qué es lo que tenemos en el museo para que ellos vayan conociéndolo y también la influencia hispánica que ha habido siempre en Estados Unidos, desde España, desde Latinoamérica, desde México, desde donde fuera, y la importancia que tendrá y que tiene hoy en día en Estados Unidos. Entonces yo creo que es bueno que los estudiantes vayan viendo, reconociendo y aprendiendo un poco de estas influencias y también de las obras de arte.
Esta exhibición tiene ahora mismo cierta resonancia en el sector público, porque ahora mismo con todos los debates sobre el futuro presidente y los temas políticos, yo creo que el componente hispánico en este país va a tener una presencia en este país en los próximos años, porque la comunidad hispánica en este país es gran parte de quienes somos como americanos. Entonces yo creo que la exhibición es muy interesante hoy en día porque es algo que tenemos que discutir cuando hablamos de la comunidad hispánica en este país.
La primera aparición del merengue como género musical en una publicación diaria, lo que da constancia de su existencia, en República Dominicana fue en 1850. Claro, hay muchos merengues, o sea, no es un solo tipo, está el merengue típico, está el merengue de calle, está el merengue más tradicional, o sea que todos los merengues han tenido su progresión y su cambio de acuerdo al contexto donde se desarrollan. No solo en la forma y en la manera en que los bailamos, sino también en sus contenidos. Nuestros públicos se sintieron refrendados, se sintieron reproducidos en esta exposición, se sintieron sorprendidos, se reconocieron. Más adelante, cuando esta exposición ha viajado en otros lugares, no importa si tú seas ecuatoriano, colombiano, venezolano, chileno, se encuentran en la exposición.
De acuerdo con The March of Dimes, cada año en el mundo 15 millones de niños nacerán prematuros y de ellos 1 millón morirá. La doctora Camille Garrison colabora con esta organización y hoy está con nosotros para compartir información sobre cómo y por qué prevenir los nacimientos prematuros. Dr. Garrison, thank you so much for being with us on Adelante.
Thank you for having me and letting me talk about something that I'm really passionate about.
Dr. Garrison, how did you start involved with the March of Dimes?
So I started actually this year in May with the March of Dimes, but I first became acquainted with them when I suffered a pregnancy loss of my own. That was over 10 years ago. And then I became reacquainted with the March of Dimes later on in the work that I do.
What is the most important facts that people should know about premature babies?
So one of the most important things, I mean, babies just in general are very vulnerable, and premature babies are even more vulnerable, and they have a lot of obstacles that they have to overcome compared to just, just regular babies. Premature babies may experience many complications. Some of the things that they have to deal with when they first come out would be temporal instability. They might have trouble with lung maturity. Their lungs are sometimes are formed, but they're not quite yet developed. And so they can have lots of long-term complications related to that. They can have some cognitive deficits. They can have developmental delays. They can have trouble with feeding. There are a number of problems that these preterm babies face, and so, they're very vulnerable.
What are some of the signs that we all should look for premature labor?
So how I counsel my patients in clinic is I talk to them about any cramping, any bleeding or abnormal discharge. If they experience vaginal pressure, sometimes they'll have contractions. Sometimes they won't have any contractions at all. They might just have a pressure sensation or a change in their discharge. That's similar to my story.
So it's better to go immediately to the hospital instead of just being guessing.
So the best thing to do would be to contact your physician and kind of give them your symptoms, and then they will help guide you as to whether or not you need to go in right away or come to the office to be evaluated there.
What is the importance of acid folic?
So folic acid is actually very important. The March of Dimes, fortunately, helped to fund the research that gave us the knowledge about folic acid and the prevention of neural tube defects. So a neural tube defect is an opening in the spine that occurs as the baby's spine is developing. And the folic acid helps to prevent that neural tube from remaining open. Women are advised to take folic acid within a month prior to conceiving. So we think there's some benefit to taking it before you even, think to conceive. And then the neural tube starts to develop within the first 3 months after conception. And so it's really important to continue taking that folic acid through that time period. For patients who've had a history of a neural tube defect, those patients need to take even higher doses of folic acid.
Can you tell us what is this problem? Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes. So when babies have an opening of the spine, if it's a very severe form of that, it's a condition called anencephaly, and that's basically where the brain doesn't develop in that baby. So that can be a fatal complication. But there can be anywhere from mild neurological dysfunction to something as severe as anencephaly.
Why is premature birth the #1 killer of babies?
So we just talked a little bit ago about how vulnerable these premature babies are, and so they have all of those obstacles that they have to overcome, and some of those long-term complications or even short-term complications can put them at increased risk of dying. So they're at increased risk of infection. We already talked about the lung complications that the babies can sometimes have. There are a number of different effects that prematurity can have, and one of them is that, babies who are born preterm are at increased risk of dying. And so infant mortality, when we look at those rates and we look at those babies who have died before the age of 1, the majority of those patients were preterm or premature. So there is a link or a connection between prematurity and infant mortality.
Is there something like a disparity in between racial or ethnic groups and premature births?
Yeah, so that's, a great question that you ask, because there are a lot of health disparities and socioeconomic disparities in medicine. But with regards to infant mortality and prematurity, they also fall within those groups too. So if you look here in Milwaukee, for example, there is a health disparity with regards to prematurity and infant mortality. So if you look at African American patients and you look at Native American patients, their prematurity or preterm birth rates are much higher than that of Caucasian patients, and then also Hispanic patients and Asian patients as well.
What would you say are main factors if we are looking at groups in their lifestyles or conditions of life that we need to look at in order to prevent this social health problem?
Yeah, so there are a lot of social determinants of health is what we call them. A lot of factors outside of just pathophysiology or abnormal physiology in the body that can impact your health. So there are some socioeconomic concerns or effects on health. There are some racial effects on health, and there are tons of studies that are looking at some of those, like psychosocial effects, so stress, anxiety, depression, some of those behavioral health things that also impact health, lack of parenting skills, lack of social support. All of those things are things that as a physician, I can't cure with a pill or I can't treat with a medical procedure. Those are things that are affecting the patient in their own environment that also need to be affected in order to improve their health.
How can people learn more and advocate for babies be born on term?
So the March of Dimes is a great organization that does a lot, and we're really trying this year to, push forward and help all babies to have a healthy start at life, or a great start, a fighting chance for all babies. And we talked about the health disparities, but all babies deserve a fighting chance. And so being involved with the March of Dimes is one way. There are a lot of resources on our website that people can look for. There are a lot of activities that we do throughout the year that people can take a part in. Really pushing for states and cities to help our patients get that high quality prenatal care that's so important. For them to have good pregnancy outcomes is important. So finding a way to reach, legislators to let them know, we need help in this area. Also, being of assistance to patients too. Like I mentioned before, a lot of those things that I can't treat with a pill or I can't treat with a procedure, other people can do. Maybe working with church organizations that help support the March of Dimes or help support agencies that support families and support moms and help them to promote healthy pregnancy. So I think just getting involved.
Dr. Garrison, we are very grateful that you are with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Llegó la hora. Empezó desde muy temprano, desde que era niño. Me crié en Miami. Desde el 2000 al 2008, esa ha sido la etapa del crecimiento de lo que es la verdadera ola fresca. El consejo que yo le daría a cualquiera que quiere ser músico y que tiene el tiempo y la determinación y un poquito de talento, es que, número uno, que estudie la música y que estudie los elementos que hacen que la música nazca y que se preparen para una jornada larga, que no traten de hacer todo en un día. Que toma tiempo, toma un poquito de tiempo. A mí me ha tomado tiempo.
De acuerdo con la Asociación Americana de Transportación, ATA, la necesidad de choferes en el país está en aumento. Se estima que en la próxima década se necesitarán 890,000 choferes de transporte pesado a un ritmo de 89,000 por año. MATC ofreció un programa para entrenar choferes para vehículos de transportación y Dan Zdrojewki está con nosotros. Dan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Dan, can you tell us how is this truck drivers program structured?
The structure of our program is an 8-week program. We pre-screen before you can actually get into our program. So you have to have graduated high school. You have to be 18 years old, have a valid driver's license with an acceptable driving record. Not a perfect, does not have to be perfect, but it has to be acceptable. We want to make sure that you're employable at the end of our 8-week program. It's structured in 3 classes. So you have truck driver 1, truck driver 2, truck driver 3, and you have to complete each course before you go to the next one. I call it the boot camp for truckers. So we're down to earth, we're structured, and we demand a lot of you, but so will the industry. So we get you ready both physically, skillfully, and mentally. We get you prepared for being a truck driver in today's world.
What is happening with these numbers that are difficult to believe when, you know, in many instances, people have been struggling with finding a job. And now we are hearing that is, you know, thousands and thousands of positions open for truck drivers. Are you getting lots of companies coming to you, students trying to enter the program?
Yes, we actually have way more employers contacting us that want to talk to our students than we will ever have students. When a student graduates our program, they can pretty much pick where they want to go. They'll have 8, 10 job offers sitting there for them. It's often a hard choice for our students when they graduate. Okay, where am I going? What am I doing? And they come back all the time and they see us and they're so thankful for what we've given them. But you are right, there is a huge shortage out there. Companies are trying to think outside the box as to how they can get additional drivers.
And you talk about the salaries. They are not too bad.
The salaries, the employers will come to us and they'll put up their PowerPoints and they'll tell the students, you come to work for me, I will guarantee you $1,000 a week. Whether their wheels are rolling or not, that's a guaranteed amount that they will be making. We know this to be true. Many of our students have come back and they can't believe $60,000, $70,000, even $80,000 their first year.
What about the characteristics of the students? I read some things about their health, you know, related to diabetes. For example, among Latinos, diabetes is growing not just in the adult population, but also since people are very young. Are there limitations for people with illnesses like this one?
Yes, if you have diabetes, this is not the occupation to be in, just because of the conditions that can happen when you're out on the road. You don't ever want somebody to go in a diabetic shock or anything like that when they're behind the wheel. I have a family that could be next to that truck. So, people watching this show have families that are riding next to these 18-wheelers out there on the road all the time. You want to make sure that the person's medically sound, so there is medical qualifications that they have to meet. Just to even get into our program, but they still need to meet those for federal requirements to drive a commercial vehicle.
Are there any other aspects of the program that you like to people to be aware on this? For example, the cost of the program.
The cost of our program is just over $2,000. Then there's additional costs for testing, but that's all outside of the school. You'll graduate with a technical diploma. You'll earn 10 college credits. We are a college first, truck driving school second. So, but in order to graduate our program, you have to be able to drive a truck. So they go hand in hand. We have the top of the line simulators. So that's where students start. That's where they learn how to shift. Within about 3 days, you're already up in the real truck and you're driving the real truck.
In 3 days.
In 3 days. So, and we do manual transmissions. There's no automatics, and they're the big guys. We don't have any small equipment. We don't have any straight trucks. It's all fifth wheel, tractor trailer, 53-foot trailers, and it's fun.
Really sounds just fascinating. Any place or phone number or website where people can go and obtain more information there?
Yes, matc.edu. You can go right up in the little search engine and just put truck, and you'll get everything you want.
Easy.
Keep it nice and simple.
Dan, it's a pleasure to have you with us on Adelante.
Thank you very much, Patricia.
Y al final de un programa más de Adelante, por favor déjenos saber sus comentarios en nuestro teléfono 297-7544 o escríbanos a nuestra dirección de correo electrónico en adelante@matc.edu. Y visítenos en nuestro sitio del internet en mptv.org y en Facebook. Soy Patricia Gómez, gracias por acompañarnos.